Bear down, Chicago Bears. Make every play clear the way to victory. Bear down, Chicago Bears. Put up a fight with the might so fearlessly. You will never forget the way you thrilled the nation with your T formation. Bear down, Chicago Bears. Let them know why you're wearing the crown. You're the pride and joy of Illinois. Chicago Bears, bear down. Folks, welcome to Tommy Talk. Your Chicago Bears, last Saturday night, I was down in Florida having a nice time, visiting my parents, my grandparents. We were all in a house together, and the Chicago Bears happened to be playing a football game while I was there. And I got to tell you, I left the room sometime in the second quarter. Now, I watched the rest of the game on my phone in my room, but I was disgusted. I looked at the TV and I said, this is a clown franchise that will never win anything. I said that to my television set. Fast forward to the fourth quarter. I am staring at my little phone screen in rapt attention as Caleb Williams leads the Chicago Bears back from the dead after being down, was 21-3, after being down all night, needing multiple touchdowns to come back and win it. And man, that 4th and 8 pass from Caleb was otherworldly good, insanely good. It's hard for me to describe just the way he comes off the side there. He's got one foot off the ground. He's got a guy pulling him down, and he lets that ball go and puts someone said it's just a prayer ball. Well, it's not a prayer ball. If you watch that, he knows that Rome Odunze is going to be there, and he drops right in the bucket, and they get the first down. They get the touchdown. They end up, being able to score again and win the game. Few things here. One, so after the game, Ben Johnson, they do the handshake between him and LaFleur, and in the opening press conference to this season, to when Ben Johnson got hired, the press conference after Ben Johnson got hired, he specifically called out Matt LaFleur, and I like being him twice a year, which some people was a surprise. It really shouldn't have been that much of a surprise, because last time I checked, this is the NFL's greatest rivalry, and I do mean that, by the way, the greatest rivalry in the National Football League. You're surprised that, he's stoking the flames? That's what like every Bears coach does in their opening press conference. But few of them follow through in the way that he did, because these 3 games that they played this year, it was all these very muted, very quick handshakes, and this time he just the run by handshake, beelines it out of there. And it almost looks like, LaFleur is looking over almost like angry that he didn't do it for longer. And then in the locker room, Ben Johnson, he's talking to the team. He's doing his good, better, best speech. And he says, F the Packers. And that's, they bleep it out, but they still put it on social media. And it's nice to see, as a fan of the Chicago Bears, to see the team taking the rivalry as seriously as the fans do, because we take it that seriously. People that are surprised shouldn't be, truly. The only reason they'd be surprised is because they just really don't understand what's going on here. They don't get it. They haven't been in part of it. This isn't some wishy-washy NFL rivalry that we have in other places. This is Bears, Packers. This is a blood feud. I've said it for a long time. It's a blood feud. Blood feud. We think about them constantly. They think about us constantly. And it's the greatest rivalry in the National Football League, by far. So people that are surprised that Ben Johnson would say F the Packers, you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be. And if you're a Packers fan upset by it, you should be more upset that your team isn't taking this attitude. More upset. Because it's funny, you look back, and this is one of those things, back before Harbaugh finally started to beat Ohio State, people are like, well, Ryan Day and his guys and Urban Meyer, they just get those guys up more to play Michigan. And in a certain sense, you can kind of see that here. The Bears get up for this game. They are very hyped. They are very, very intense about it. And on top of that, the Bears obviously have their never say die attitude. Even when they're down by 1 billion points, they believe in themselves to the point that they can come back from anything. And that's exactly what they did on Saturday night. It was an incredible game to watch, an incredible ending. I am very proud of the Chicago Bears. Now they go on to play the Los Angeles Rams this Sunday night at Soldier Field. It's going to be Arctic cold temperatures. And I've heard people say that the weather is not going to be that big of a deal. And say, well, Matt Stafford played in Detroit. Yeah, it was a dome, but he played in the NFC North. You know what? I don't buy it. I truly do believe the weather gives advantage to the Bears. I think that gives more advantage to the Bears. It's better. I'll put it like this. If you're telling me would the Bears have more of an advantage in this game if it was, just normal, fair weather, or if it was bad weather? Bad weather. Definitely bad weather. The Bears have played in bad weather a lot more and practiced in bad weather a lot more. They've lived in bad weather a lot more than this Rams team. Now, do I think that makes a difference in the game? Probably not. Probably not. It will probably make the difference in the game is the Bears defense, because in that first half, the Bears defense was dog water, garbage, trashola, awful. In the second half, they finally started to put something together. And hopefully, they can do something like that on Sunday night. And hopefully the defense can find a way to turn the ball over, because they have not been turning the ball over the same way the last couple of weeks, and they didn't turn the ball over against the Packers. Now, Matt Stafford maybe throws a few more interceptions than Jordan Love, which probably could make the Bears defense job a little easier in that perspective, because if you give the Bears defense a chance to turn over a ball, they take advantage of that. That's one of the things the Bears are good at doing. But we'll see. Some people think it'll be a bow race. I think it's going to be a shootout, to be honest with you. It wouldn't shock me if it was a shootout in that game. I'm not super confident. I'll believe in my Bears. I'll say the Bears win just because I'm rolling with the punches. I'm rolling with my guys. But I do not blame anyone for being down on the Bears this week, just simply because this defense is not Super Bowl worthy, man. It's crazy. It's the first time I've seen a Bears offense truly be Super Bowl worthy, and a Bears defense really just let them down, because that's what's happening right now. A big part of that is pass rush, and if Ryan Poles does not fix that in the offseason, we have a serious problem. But if he does, then I think that the Bears are a serious contender for the Super Bowl next year. That will make a big difference. Moving on to a breaking story that just happened today. Kyle Tucker, former Chicago Cub, former Houston Astro, has signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers. 4-year, $240 million deal. And I got one thing to say to you, good people. We ain't getting baseball in 2027. I'm sorry. It's going to suck. That whole summer is going to suck. You're going to be at work. You're going to be at home after work. You're going to be coming home from church. You're going to be out and about. And instead of being able to turn to baseball, go to baseball games. Enjoy yourself. Buy yourself some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. Yell at your television screen. It ain't happening. It ain't happening, because it's obvious that this Dodgers team ain't going to stop spending this way. And if you want to say, well, it's the problem of the other owners, that's fine. That there's a fair thing to be said there. I'm not really here to blame the players, and I'm not going to say the owners don't deserve, the lion's share of the blame. However, it's just a plain fact that as things have gone, the owners are saying when the new, a bargaining agreement comes around, hey, we need a salary cap similar to what they have in the NFL. We can't just keep having this, just endless cycle. And the players have have resigned themselves to no, we're not going to, we don't want that, we don't want that, we don't want that. Which, it's their right, but I mean, I don't know if it's good for the game overall. I just don't know. It sucks, man. It sucks because it's going to be an impasse between the two, and the owners might say to themselves, well, if we have to sacrifice 1 year of baseball to save a boatload of money in the long term, why not do it? They might say that to themselves. Now, the obviously the outcome of doing that would be biblically bad, be awful. I mean, you'd see interest in the game, which has obviously has gone down over the years, come back up. It's been in flux a little bit, really plummet more, and you'd lose all the trust that your fans have in you. You lose so much money. We'll see. Again, I'm not going to be the guy who's like, well, what about the owners? I'm not here to cry about the owners having to spend money. They should spend more money. As a Cubs fan, I'm angry my owners don't spend more money. But it's simply just the facts of life and capitalism, man. You want to make you own a team, you want to make money off that team, okay? And if you don't have to spend a boatload of money, you don't want to spend a boatload of money. You can't just expect everyone to spend a boatload of money. And not every team is going to spend a boatload of money, okay? I'm not trying to carry water for teams like the A's and the Reds who don't spend money at all. But you can't expect some of these smaller market teams to keep up with, the Dodgers and stuff like that. You can't. You could expect the Cubs or the Yankees or the Red Sox to, but not these tiny market teams, even though they should spend more money than they are. So, obviously, a salary cap is the smart thing. Just doing the NFL-style salary cap, which also means kind of a salary floor where you don't save money by not spending money. Because in the NFL, it's not like, oh, we didn't reach the salary cap. Then we get the money back to ourselves. No. That's not how it works. It ain't how it works. You have to stay under the salary cap. And if you stay, under the salary cap, you don't make money off the money you saved. In baseball, it's different. In baseball, the money you don't spend, you get to keep. So it just is how it is. A salary cap is realistically how it has to be, and that includes a salary floor. You shouldn't be able to cheap out the way these franchises have either. But sadly, that ain't happening. It just ain't going to happen. And this Kyle Tucker signing is just another nail in the coffin for baseball in 2027. We're on 2027 watch. Enjoy baseball while we have it, folks. Enjoy it because it could be going away very, very soon. Womp womp. There has been a bit of turnover in the coaching world in the NFL. The biggest thing. Harbaugh fired by the Ravens after that missed field goal at the end of the season. And then Tomlin makes the playoffs out of that. They get embarrassed by the Texans. And then the Steelers, they don't fire Tomlin. When Tomlin steps down, I have to imagine that there was internal conversations and he knew it was time to go. So Harbaugh and Tomlin out in Pittsburgh and Baltimore. Wow. Crazy stuff. For Pittsburgh, this is exactly what you needed. Are you going to keep going just, 9-8 forever? You going 10-7 forever? Is that how it's always going to be? You know what I mean? Great, you don't have losing seasons. Okay, you keep getting blown out in the wild card round, and your offense is almost always anemic. You can't get a great quarterback. I mean, Rodgers isn't bad. I think he's played pretty well. But the last time that they had, a bad season, they won 6 games. You want to know who they were able to take in the draft that year? Ben Roethlisberger. They haven't been able to get those top tier quarterback talents. since then because they have gone into this rut where Mike Tomlin's a good enough coach. He can bring them to 10 wins with those good defenses. And, he's able to Tomlin some games that you don't expect him to win. Now that you are gone from Tomlin, I think the best thing if you were the Steelers is to treat this next year or two as a rebuilding process. You're not tanking, quote unquote, but you need to offload some of these cumbersome contracts you have, especially on defense. Maybe start Will Howard next year, and you have a bad season. That's too bad, but you get a high draft pick next year, and it ends up working out pretty well for you. Just saying. And then for Harbaugh, he is now signing with the Giants. That is the word. The word right now, 5 years, $100 million, $20 million a year. A lot of cash, a lot of money, man. I mean, if you're the Giants, I don't blame them. I mean, they've been just so pathetic for so long, it feels like. The last time they really hired a guy who was really a guy, like an experienced coach who had success was Tom Coughlin. So now you bring in a guy with experienced coach with success, and you hope you can kind of replicate that. And you have an exciting young roster. You have an exciting young quarterback, exciting running back, Malik Neighbors, if he can ever be healthy again. And there are pieces there, and I could see Harbaugh taking advantage of that. I think it was a good hire. We'll see how it goes in the long run. Finally, folks, and I said finally, but finally, folks, the College Football Playoff National Championship this Monday in Miami. The Miami Hurricanes playing in their home stadium against the Indiana Hoosiers. Two things here. One, I'll give credit to Miami. I have called them the Penn State of the South. Overrated always and always falling short with all the resources in the world. That hasn't been the case this year. Now, did they win their conference? No. Did they make their conference championship game? No. Should they be in the playoff? No. Should they ever be considered national champion? No. But they're there. So congrats to them for that. And then for Indiana, they obviously last game, they embarrassed Alabama in the Rose Bowl. And then the last game, they pantsed Oregon. It was bad. My goodness. I have had a bit of a gripe with Dan Lanning for a long time. I've always thought he's been cocky for a guy who has not, done the thing. He acts like he's like Nick Saban, but he ain't. He hasn't won anything really. And, I'll never forget, obviously I'm a Buffs fan, so I'm biased against him, but when he had that game where they admittedly destroyed Colorado, but they waited until they got to a nice lead before they came out with the pregame speech from Lanning, where he was like, they play for clicks, we play for wins. Meanwhile, they literally made a pregame speech that clearly was only going to be played if they were winning by a lot to get clicks. And they have a social media team that is considered to be probably like the best in the country that loves to get clicks. They're a team that thrives on clicks and flashiness, and they act like, they're above that. That annoyed the heck out of me. And he always is, he's always acted like he's had a chip on his shoulder. So seeing him just get destroyed again, I think it has to be asked about Dan Lanning. Does he have the juice? Does he have the juice to put him over the top? If you are Phil Knight and you are pouring tons and tons of money to see your favorite team win before you die, your alma mater win before you die, and you see Dan Lanning keep fouling it up year after year, getting embarrassed in the playoffs just by having tons and tons and tons of money, while Curt Cignetti walks in to Indiana and in his second year has them on the doorstep of a national title. If I were Phil Knight, I'd be livid. I'd be foaming at the mouth. I'd be very angry. Now, would you fire Dan Lanning? I guess not. But I would definitely call him into an office and lean over and say, time to start winning, buddy. Time to start putting the pedal to the metal. Just saying. But for the game on Monday night, I got to go with the Hoosiers. A team with no 5 stars, a team full of transfers, a team with a guy in Natty who also has been cocky, but unlike Lanning, has seemed to back it up in a short amount of time and now has his team on the doorstep of a national title after embarrassing 2 of the best teams in the country, along with beating Ohio State. So give me Indiana to win their first national title. If you told me a couple years ago that the University of Indiana was going to win a national title, I would have called you loco in the coco. What are you talking about? Like, the worst team in Power 5 historically wins a national title? Ain't happening. Well, turns out. Throw a little NIL money in there, and next thing you know, you got yourself a national champion. The first time national champion, if they win, it'll be the first time national champion since Florida in 1996. There's a fun fact for you. In any case, folks, thank you all for listening and or watching. Please subscribe at Tommy SGAHAN on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and on YouTube as well. It is the handle on YouTube. This is your guy, TG Tommy Gann here, saying so long, and this has been Tommy Talk. See you guys. Also,